two things with tummy tucks. One, stretch marks. Two, location of the incision. Maximal projection. We want this line to be smooth. Not everyone lipos in the key area. So I have a patient here. She's going to have a mummy makeover. So we're doing tummy tuck, lipo, and also going to be putting implants in, doing a breast lift. But here we're just going to focus on the tummy. So first off, let's just talk about the incision location. The incision location is not the same for every person. It's different for every single body because it depends on where the patient has a natural crease and where the patients naturally bend. You can see that she has a natural crease here. So this is, you know, where she's going to be bending if she bends over. I'm just going to bend you a little bit. If you bend over, you can see she's starting to bend here. And that's where her natural crease is. Remember, some people have like 1, 2, 3. Some people's are high, some people's are low. It's super variable. But I'm just going to lower her underwear just a tiny bit here. And you can see where I've put the mark for the incision. So this is where the incision is going to go. It's down low. There's no other crease below that. Now this is her mons pubis area. So we're not going to make the incision through her mons pubis. So this is the lowest crease that she has where she will bend. And it just continues to follow all the way out. You can see where I marked it up here a little bit. And then I decided, no, let's get a little bit lower. This is a better crease. But actually on this side here, she really only has one kind of crease area. So sometimes you have to kind of figure out a little bit, and it's always different from side to side. But always try and put the crease as low as we possibly can in the area where she bends. And that's really not just tummy tuck, but anywhere. We always try and camouflage our incisions by putting them in natural creases. It's also areas of lower tension. So here's where her lower incision is going to be. The incision will always come up a little bit from where we place the incision because we're asking this part of her tissue to hold down the tummy that we're going to pull from above. So it will always come up a little bit, okay? So it never stays right there. It'll come up a little bit. And usually that's pretty good because it'll help to rejuvenate the mons area by giving it a little bit of a lift. Not something like this, but it comes up a little bit to give her a little bit of a lift. This is just kind of a guideline to tell me what I'm thinking we can take, but I'll really determine this upper line in the operating room. Sometimes I can take a little bit more skin, and sometimes I can take less skin. But this is kind of a rough guide for me just to know. Now, let's talk about stretch marks. Everybody wants to get rid of their stretch marks after having a kid and having a tummy tuck. So, but it's not always possible. It depends where the stretch marks are located in relation to this upper line. So, just pretend this is exactly where I'm going to make the line, okay? And I'm going to remove all of this tissue. So all of this is going to go with a tummy tuck, okay? All of this tissue. So any stretch mark that's above this line is going to be carried down because remember, this incision here is going to be sewn to this incision here. So all of this intervening space here is going to disappear. It's all going to go away. And then this line is going to come down and get sewn to sutured to this line. So these stretch marks here are going to come with us and they're going to go down. So with this line is now going to be located down here. Therefore, these stretch marks are going to be located here. So while we're going to remove most of the stretch marks, these stretch marks are not going to be removed. And she's already said, well, gee, when you pull it down, these are going to stretch a little bit, and that's true. So right now you can see how she's got some skin laxity here. So these stretch marks are kind of collapsed. But when we move this down and her abdomen's nice and tight, these stretch marks will stretch a little bit. So they will actually be a little bit higher. So, you know, about this distance is going to be from here up here. There's nothing we can do. We can't get rid of these stretch marks. The skin here has been stretched out from having a child. And she said when she was pregnant, she was huge, she said. She just came right out here. And you can really tell. And you could see the extent of the stretch marks are going all the way out to the side. And this is exactly why her incision here is going to be over to about here, because if you see where she was pregnant, all of these stretch marks here, all of this skin was stretched out. Not just like a little narrow area in here, but all of it. So you have to make the incision long enough to be able to move the skin. And if we look where she has skin, it keeps going and going and going. So that's why we're going to make our incision a little bit longer. I would much rather have a nice, flat, tight abdomen with a little longer incision than have a shorter incision and not get a good result over here, because you end up with this extra skin coming down. So she's a very good candidate as well, because she has very low internal fat. And so we should be able to get her pretty flat after this operation by tightening her muscle. But those are the two things I want you to know about incision location and stretch marks.